How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite bass fishing podcast, Scales and Tales, episode 219. We have my friend from my state. This is the first guy from Michigan, I think, since we had Nate on a long time ago. And unfortunately, you'd think Michigan is a decently big state, but you'd think, oh, Adrian's probably met this guy, or they went out to fish together or something. We've probably known each other for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And actually, Will and I both had to travel all the way to the Houston Fishing Show 2 weeks ago to meet each other. So, believe it or not, Michigan guys don't meet each other in Michigan. And there's been quite a few Michigan guys that I have not actually met in the state of Michigan, whether I've met them in Minnesota or now Texas. It just seems like I don't meet the homies that live in Michigan for whatever reason. But we met once already, so hopefully this spring I'll get over there and we get to fish in person for the first time. But Will, I mean, yeah, I saw you when you guys came to the show Saturday morning, and or maybe it was Friday, and I was just like, I cannot believe that we both flew, 900, 1,300 miles to meet each other. Like that was probably one of the crazier things that I thought of throughout the show.
Yeah, it was for sure crazy because I saw you and we both looked at each other and we're like, dude, we've known each other for how long
Yeah.
now? And we're finally, yeah, meeting in Texas and hanging out in Texas for the first time.
It's funny. It's just funny how that stuff works out. Joined by Will,
Yeah.
Michiganbassman on Instagram. I'm sure you guys have seen him. Been making a lot of posts with the Gracely baits lately. Posted some match hatch stuff a couple weeks ago. Just tiny clash, bass color, tiny clash, all sorts of stuff. You posted a 7-inch cast to catch with the 7-inch Citizen. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? Like you've got a lot of stuff that you've coasted throughout the year. A lot of northern guys, we unfortunately, some of us run out of content throughout the year and kind of, this is kind of the dry season until the spring bite starts off. But you've been chugging along. You've had a bunch of cast catches and all sorts of good stuff posted throughout the year. So I think a lot of guys can kind of appreciate that at least somebody in the north has something to post when there's nothing else to do except for, brain rot and scroll Instagram and YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like during the year, I just load up the cast to catch videos, put them, in a folder on my computer, and I'm like, I'll get to them at some point. But like you said, we only have so long to fish. So instead of like spending time editing during those few good months we have, I'm
Yeah.
just like out there grinding every day.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, whenever I get that second when it gets to freeze or it's rainy or
Yeah.
I get those up there and edit it and out. But yeah.
Yeah, it's an uphill battle living in the north. I'm sure the northern guys can understand the hassle, and the southern guys probably just think that I'm harping on it like I always do. But it's an interesting beast that you kind of have to learn if you're like a quote unquote a content creator. It really throws a wrench in your plans. Because don't get me wrong, ice fishing's fun, but people have asked why don't I make ice fishing videos, and it's because I wouldn't watch the ice fishing videos that I would make. There's a very specific ice fishing style that I would watch, and it's just not what I have right now. So I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm not gonna waste your
Yeah.
guys' time. You guys can go watch Will's stuff because like I said, he's the only guy that seems to be posting some northern stuff. I posted that YouTube video and that's all I got. That's everything. I'm not gonna have anything else
Dude, that's
until
good.
the spring rolls around. But so Will is over on the east side of the state. If you guys aren't familiar, I'm on the west side. If you look on the map, I'm up by Grand Traverse Bay. Will is over there around the Detroit area. So it's like 4 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're driving across the state of Michigan, it's kind of boring. There's a lot of cornfields. It's pretty flat. There's not much to it. The roads aren't
Yeah.
good. It's a very what's the word? I can't think of the word. It's just
You could
you're
do
in for,
like
you're in
dude,
for
the
a
the
road
Michigan
trip.
thing.
Oh yeah, I did that to
You're
somebody the other
like
day.
up here and
Yeah,
I'm like over here.
yeah. It
You
it's
know?
there's a lot of roads between us, and none of them are good roads either. They all got big potholes, and it's
Yeah.
treacherous. It's a treacherous journey to make that 4 hour drive.
Yeah. And I feel like in Michigan, everything's like so close together where you live. Like
Hmm.
a lot of people traveling like far like that, a few hours to go somewhere isn't like a big thing to them. But for us, like we have so much stuff in a 30-minute radius that
Yeah.
we never really go too far, like
Hmm.
out of the way. So like driving 4.5 hours,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you need to make like that's like a weekend trip out of
Hmm.
it. It's not just like a day or two thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like outside of fishing, it's or inside the fishing realm, it's far because like Michigan has a lot of lakes. I think we have more lakes than Minnesota, but I digress.
Yeah.
But like
But we do by statistics we do, I think. I
I
think
think
they
so
have
too.
more larger sized
Hmm.
lakes, but yeah, by like numbers of lakes, I think there is more. But I was
Yeah.
just talking to Kyle Gracely about this.
Hmm.
He was like, "Yeah, I can fish like two lakes. They're both like an hour from me." And I was like, "Dude, I literally have maybe 300 bodies of water within like 15 minutes of my house. Like it's
Yeah.
insane."
Yeah, it's wild to think about. And people are probably like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys have that much water around you." And like you said like there's a lot around you. Yeah, that not necessarily true up here. Like we have a lot as far as like fishing stuff, but like we were just talking about before, I've got to drive, an hour to get to a quote unquote tackle shop, and that being like Sportsman's Warehouse. Like there's really no
Okay.
specialty shops or anything. And even then you go to a big box store like that, you'll find some Buka bullsheds and maybe a Spro, but you're not gonna find like a Gracely or
Yeah.
an ABS or a Resin Metro or anything like
A
that.
resin. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of I don't know, it's an interesting Michigan is an interesting place in general because once you get outside like the big cities, it's cornfields and like pine tree forest. It's a very, very interesting place to just to drive through. Like going to Lake St. Clair from Grand Rapids, that's only like a 2.5, 3 hour drive. But I mean you're driving through some flat cornfields that have nothing to offer. And
Oh yeah.
when we make that drive, we leave Grand Rapids around 4 a.m. So you're making, you know, three-quarters of that drive in the dark, and it's just like this could not get any more boring. Like it is, it once you get past East Lansing and Ann Arbor, it's like there's nothing here. You're just coasting until you get through to
Right.
Detroit. It's a
Yeah.
it's a very and then on the drive back, dude, that drive back might even be worse than the drive there because you're just pooped from fishing all day.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah, I have a similar thing when we drive up to Saginaw Bay.
Hmm.
And yeah, we wake up at like 3 a.m., drive to like get there on the water at like 6:37 when the sun's coming up. And yeah, you fish all day long. And yeah, the drive back is just not fun. But
Yeah,
that's the
it's
grind that we all love to do to catch those big fish on the big water.
yeah. No, exactly, man. But before we get too deep into it, Will, kind of we'll get your introduction out of the way or your icebreakers out of the way. So I'm driving over tonight because we're gonna go fish in the morning, give myself a couple hours of sleep at least. So I'm gonna be coming down to you, the southern east side of the state. Where are your like staple or like what's your staple to stop at before you're going out to fish in the morning? And what are you getting while you're there? Like what's the go-to, gas station routine and like what's the menu for like the bev or the snacks even throughout the day?
All right, so by me, we have a lot of like mom and pop shop. Like I guess technically they're like liquor stores,
Mhm.
but they're like little food baskets
Yeah.
that have, just like typical gas station or like 7-Eleven stuff,
Mhm.
but they also have like delis, they have like just an assortment of things. But I usually so I'll always go with an energy drink. I know you always ask like coffee or energy drinks. Dude, Celsius is my go-to. So I'm grabbing like it depending on how long the day is, I might grab two Celsius, one for like the morning and then one for later, like
Mhm.
before the drive home, like you said.
Mhm.
And then dude, I'll get the candy out of the way. I
Mhm.
love those like nerd like
Oh
clusters.
yeah,
Have you
yep.
tried those?
It's been a
Dude, they're
long
so
time.
good.
I used to like
Dude,
mess them up, but I haven't had them in such a long time.
yeah, that's like my little snack. Those and Reese's cups, man. I
Mm.
like can't stop. I can't get enough. Um, but then food wise, like if I'm feeling like real frisky, I'll get like a sub.
Mm.
But just like a basic like Italian sub.
Yeah, yeah.
But generally, like I have two young kids, so before I leave the house in the morning, I'll like go in the freezer, grab like a handful of Uncrustables, and just throughout the day, those are so easy to
Oh
grab
yeah.
and eat. Um, just like basic peanut butter and jelly
Mhm.
ones. I know they have like the Nutella ones and stuff
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
but dude, I would eat like a whole box of those.
Those are good.
So yeah, that's kind of my go-to, like Uncrustables, subs, and then yeah, Nerds, Reese's, and Celsius is
Mm.
like I have to have that caffeine.
Yeah, yeah, I can get down with the Uncrustables. We used to eat those a lot on the baseball, like when I was on the baseball team, and we used to go through a lot of Uncrustables. Those things are damn good. When they're a little bit frozen in the center, you get,
Yeah.
oh man, Or when they're like just when it's hot outside and you have one, like it's just a good pick me up. It's a good
Right.
pick me up if you're out on the lake and the fishing's really hard, just to have an Uncrustable or two and just kind of rejuvenate the life, or bring back the life to your body and kind of reorganize what the heck's going on right now and kind of try to make a new plan if the fishing's just
Yeah.
terrible. Or you eat it on your way back to the boat ramp because the fishing's bad and you said, "Yeah, I'm getting the heck home. I'm not staying out here any longer than I have to."
Right. I should like do a little clip montage together. I have a bunch of clips of me just in the camera, just eating Uncrustables. Like whenever I go to take a bite, I like get up close.
That'd be a good
One day I'll
one.
throw those up.
Drop it the day before this one, before the podcast comes out, so people are like, "What the hell is he doing? Like, what does this
Right. They're
video
like, what is he
entail?"
do? He's just wrecking all of these Uncrustables for no reason.
Oh man.
Oh,
Uh,
that'd be awesome.
and then the second question, obviously, the one that is a little more thought-provoking and gives a little more insight to kind of the person that I'm interviewing. So, after we stop, get all our snacks and all our Celsius and whatnot, we're on the way to the ramp. We're 5, 10 minutes out. What's like the one song you're putting on for yourself to just get locked in, be laser focused for the day, or even just start your day off? Kind of what's that one song that you're relying on to do that?
Dude, so this is like, I know you always ask this question because I listen to every podcast, obviously. And I'm like thinking about it all day long. Dude, I'm sure you've seen from my post. I love like so many different genres. Like I love rap, EDM, country, rock,
Mhm.
alternative. So like, dude, I've always been a big Mac Miller fan. I think it's like the nostalgia of it from like when he was big, I was like in high school.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So like 2010, like I had all his like CDs in my
Mm,
car. So for sure, dude, it always gets me going. But then I also love like the alternative, like Sum 41, Blink
mhm.
182. Dude, so it's hard. So I'll say if we have to put one on, let's do Thoughts from a Balcony by Mac Miller.
Okay, okay. Thoughts from a balcony. I'll have
It's
to
it's a
listen to that.
classic.
I'll have to listen to
You'll
that
have
one
to listen
after
to it.
this.
I've
Uh,
put it on a few picture posts I've done in the past,
mhm.
and dude, people love it too. Even if they don't know Mac Miller, they
Yeah.
love it. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, my cousin is a couple years older than me, and he was able to drive when I was like 13, and that was right around the time Mac Miller was pretty big. And I remember we went to the mall and got one of the CDs. What was it? Scary. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, we listened to that CD on repeat all summer driving to the lake to go swim. So like that, I'm pretty familiar. Like I said, I may have heard that song, but off the top of my head, I'm not familiar. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
So like that,
It is a really hard question, and I always feel bad for putting it on people. But like, if they listen to the show, then they kind of have an idea that it's coming, and I feel like that it's a good question to get people to have an idea who the person is or kind of what they're into or their style. Like, you can tell a lot
yeah,
from the type of music or like the song, one or two songs they choose to kind of describe themselves, I would say.
yeah. So I'll throw another one in there. So like we'll do that, and then, dude, I'm like big Chris Stapleton, Zach Bryan
Mm,
fan. So like country, and then like Good Charlotte, like
mm.
the anthem, like just a classic
Yeah.
song there. But yeah, I'm like all over the place for sure. So we'll probably hit like five genres in like a 10-minute drive to the
Yeah.
lake.
Yeah,
I
that's
I just love music. I have my vinyl player and a bunch of
oh, that's
vinyls.
sick.
Like I get into it, dude. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like I see you got the Coulter Wall cover art back there.
Dude, Coulter Wall, I love him.
I love
Dude,
Coulter
I
Wall
got the
too.
Linkin Park Reanimation. That was like
That's
one of my
cool.
first CDs, like in my little Walkman when I
Yeah.
was growing up. That I loved that. But yeah, I mean, everything, dude. Nirvana,
Hmm.
AC/DC,
Yeah.
like just, yeah, just a whole range of
Hmm.
things.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad nobody asks me that question. Like nobody interviews me, or if I ever do a podcast, they don't ask me that because I like getting put on the spot, I would probably have no idea. There's a couple songs that I could say describe me, but I don't know if that's necessarily what I would like listen to pump me up on the way to the boat ramp. I don't know. It's a tough question, and
Right.
I thought of it, and I was like, you know what? I put Lawson Lindsay on the spot. That was the first time I ever did it, and I totally forgot to tell him
I
about it
remember
before, and
listening to that.
I felt really bad, but he took it in stride, and we had a good laugh about that. But yeah, now everybody knows pretty much going forward that that's coming, so it kind of gives them some time, a couple hours if they listen to an episode before to kind of formulate
Yeah.
their thoughts. But like I said, it's hard to choose just one song. You ask somebody to pick something that describes them, whether it's like a movie or a song or just whatever else it may be. It's like you really got to think. You got to think. There's just it's a hard question.
Dude, it's a good one though. It's a good one. So okay, I just dropped my phone. It broke. You have
Hmm.
to hook up your phone to Apple CarPlay. What song are you putting on, Adrian? One song.
Mm. On the way to the boat ramp.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Man, there's a couple songs that come to mind. Some Benny the Butcher or West Side Gun, but it'd probably be like I don't know, seeing the Colter Wall thing. It'd be Cowpoke because that's the song that I
Oh, good one.
when somebody asks me like what's a good song for it, I'm like, oh, it's Cowpoke. I'm lonesome
Dude,
but happy,
Cowpoke
rich
is a
but
good
I'm
one.
broke. That's
Yeah, dude,
the
if
good.
nobody's heard Colter Wall out there, go and listen to it. His voice is insane. It's
It's
like,
crazy.
you've seen him, obviously. If
Yeah.
you watch a video of him and hear his voice come out of his body, you're
Hmm.
like, this doesn't match up at all.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
kind of
it's
crazy. Sounds like it's just
yeah,
gravel and whiskey. It sounds like all he's
right,
eaten and drank his whole life, and he's only like a couple years older than me. Like it's pretty
right.
insane how
All
raspy
his
his
songs
voice
though,
is.
yeah, they tell a story though, is why I love
Yeah.
songs that tell a good story. And
Mm.
he tells a story
Yeah, all
from
of them
start
do.
to finish.
Yeah,
So
like Kate McCannon's really good.
yeah,
Cowpoke.
yeah.
There's just a whole bunch.
Devil wears a
Devil Wears
suit
a
and
Suit and
tie.
Tie.
I
Yeah,
love that one.
there's a
Yeah.
gajillion on there, and it's dude,
Yeah.
that's like the same thing. Like if a song or if a song tells a story and like you can use that song to maybe not necessarily represent yourself, but you can be like this song really resonates with me. I think a lot of people can make their own educated conclusion on maybe not necessarily the type of person you are, but like who you are as a person. Like what do you resonate with? So I think
Yeah, for sure.
music plays a big role, especially in the fishing world. We all use it when we post up videos or sometimes pictures and stuff, and it just kind of you get a really good idea of who somebody is scrolling through their page and listening to the clips or listening to the songs they have over clips and stuff.
Dude, I put so much thought into my music on my pictures. It's
Hmm.
probably crazy. I was just talking to my wife, or it was Kyle or somebody, and I was scrolling through for hours listening to all these songs. I was like, that one does not fit. That one, yeah, that's how much thought I curate those. Dude, I love the photography
Yeah.
aspect. I know we've talked about that before, but yeah, so I always try to match up those pictures with the
Yeah.
song to get the whole vibe going.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's kind of me, who I am with the music stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Every day on my personal page, every time I run, I have like a picture that like represents the run, and I have a song. And man, been running since November, and I don't think I've reused a song once. But it's like sometimes it takes longer than the run to think of a song that kind of represents what I was thinking that day, and it's been pretty fun.
Right.
That's like the most fun part is like I ran 10 miles today, and what I was thinking most of the time is what song am I putting over this story on the personal page. So it's just funny. It's funny, like I said, that the music kind of resonates like that with people. And then also like once you get gas and you're on the way to the lake, that's like what starts off your day. It doesn't matter, you're thinking about like where you're gonna fish, how you're gonna fish, but you're really like getting tuned up and ready to go for the day with that music. Like when you're making a run, you launch the boat and you make a run to the first spot. Like there's a good chance you're beating on the wheel or you're tapping on the wheel, you're humming or that song's like playing in your head. Like that song, that song might stick with you all day. So like there's I think there's a
Oh
really
yeah.
important thing on like getting the song that you're gonna that's going to set you up for success that day or just more so what song's going to be stuck in your head all day while you're out on the lake. And some people play music while they're out on the water, so it doesn't necessarily bother them too much, but like I'm the
Yeah.
type of guy that once I get out of the truck there's no more music and
Oh
whatever
yeah.
was played last is probably going to be playing in my head all day.
Yeah, dude, I'm the same way. Complete silence on the water. Like even a lot of times I fish alone a lot just because of my schedule. The person I fish with the most is probably Dylan.
Hmm.
But when we fish together, yeah, we're pretty quiet. Like
Yeah.
we'll talk here and there when it's like slower, but like
Hmm.
when we're like yeah, grinding it out, getting dialed in, yeah, we're silent. And I think it goes with like our waters too.
Hmm.
Like they're so clear up here
Hmm.
that you need to be so quiet and like sneak up on fish. And so I think we're just like so used to being quiet out there that that's kind of like the way we fish. You know, those fish aren't used to like the hustle and bustle of like
Hmm.
how it is down in Austin where, you
Yeah.
know, the
Right.
lake's in the city, you know. So like, yeah, we're pretty quiet sneaking up on fish for sure. So that goes with it.
Yeah, and that kind of loops back to what we were talking about having so many lakes at your disposal. Around here, we have a decent amount of lakes that don't have any houses or like anything on them. So like that plays a huge role. Like fishing off the paddleboard's pretty nice for that. And even sometimes like I'll go to reach something out of my box and I'll accidentally drop my phone in the box or drop a bait wrap and you can just hear it thump and I'm just like, "Oh no, like that wasn't
Oh
loud,
yeah.
but it was definitely loud underwater. Like these fish, I'm gonna have to paddle to the other side of the lake and just leave this spot for a little while." And maybe you know I've talked about it before. Maybe that's us giving um a lot of props to the fish because maybe all in all they are just a bass, but also it's like that might make a big difference. Like those fish don't hear very much noise, so
Yeah.
when they hear something get dropped like a stone hitting the water, they might not like that too much.
Yeah, there's when you bring that up, it makes me think of like a few times that I remember this last year. I got over like a school of bass like feeding and I like pulled one up and I netted it and then I went to like set my net down
Mm-hmm.
and it like bounced off the boat and I
Mm-hmm.
was like that's I just blew up this whole school.
Yeah.
That's like my thought in my head, you know, and then I'm bummed after
Mm-hmm.
I just like pulled in a good fish. I'm like bummed because I'm not going to get another one out of there. But yeah, I think our fish, yeah, just spook so easy with that
Mm-hmm.
water. It's just crazy. I mean, I look down and see the bottom at like 30 feet.
Yeah.
Or if I'm like a couple hundred feet offshore, I can see the
Mm-hmm.
bottom the entire way from like if I'm over 15 feet, it gradually goes up to the shoreline. I can see everything in the water, you know, for like half of a football field
Mm-hmm.
around me. So yeah, it's crazy up here for sure.
Yeah. And then like you also get like you can play the sun a little bit, but then it's just like fishing clear water. I've said it before a bunch. I would like guys are always like I could never fish clear water and dude put me on the clearest water ever I can figure it out but dirty water like I just don't have any confidence in dirty water. I don't understand how guys can fish for a couple hours with no bites and just not lose their mind. Like I need to know that not that there's fish around, but that there's fish following my bait. Like that's a selling point
Yeah.
for me. So if I can't see that, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. If there's no fish here, like that's like a very spooky thought for me to not have any idea what my bait's doing down there or what the fish are doing around my bait.
Dude, it is. I was when we were just in Texas and
Hmm.
I fished a bit down there and yeah, it's so different fishing. Like we'd go to a lake and they'd be like, "Oh, this is like a clear lake for down here." And you know, there's only like 3 or 4 foot of visibility and I was
Hmm.
like, "Dude, what do you mean this is like if a lake looks like this by me, there's something wrong with the water, you know? There was just some kind of die off that
Hmm.
happened and like something's up." So yeah, it's definitely I'll take clear water like all day, but yeah, I think it's just because it's what we're used to more, you know. Once we if we ever move down there,
Yeah.
we'll get more accustomed to it.
Yeah, dude, it's just it's like a I don't know, it's just a weird thing like fishing a soft bait in dirty water, I don't think I'd struggle with, but a glide bait just because it's so responsive
Yeah.
and reactive, like being able to know if there's fish following, like if they want it sped up or slowed down, like especially without a graph or any type of sonar. Here I rely a lot on like the visual cues, like you can tell when a fish is really interested with the glide because their pec fins will start to go crazy and they'll just start to follow like super sharp and super erratic. And you know, if you're fishing like Lake Fork or any lake down like that JB Thompson Lake, like I don't know if I'm sure you've seen clips from there.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy lake. Like Lawrence Lee caught a share lunker out of there, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and he had a video of his
I
live
saw
well.
that.
And you couldn't even see the bottom of his live well. You could see the bass
Yeah.
sitting up on the top, and you couldn't see the bottom of the live well. Like
I noticed that.
I cannot comprehend that being like clay colored water and not even an inch of visibility. Like you set your jig down or your mag draft or whatever it might be, you bone white mag draft, and it just gets eaten by the clay water. Like that is
Yeah.
something that I see and I'm like I would never fish there. I would never have the confidence to launch my boat there. Launch my boat, let alone run across the lake. Like if you don't have a chip cart and you're running across the lake like that, you don't know
Right.
where the deadheads are or where there's like an apple tree or something. Like that's freaky because that's all flooded. Those are like
Yeah.
literally flooded forests and like woods and towns and stuff. Like that's something that's eerie, dude. That's like lower unit heaven right
Yeah.
there.
Dude, yeah, that's I feel like we sometimes I struggle with it because you see followers come in and they'll see me on the boat, when they're like 30 feet away and they'll turn off
Hmm.
and they saw you because they're like on it. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like the sun glares or something and then they're just gone.
Hmm.
But yeah, so. There's definitely negatives to it, but the positives, like you said, being able to see and once you figure it out, yeah, there's nothing like it, just looking down into
Hmm.
it. But dude, speaking of Erie on the water, did you hear about the story when me and Kyle and we went out with Judd
Hmm.
night fishing?
Yeah.
Dude, that was the scariest time. I've had some scary times on the water. I mean, I've fished since I was like 2 years old. This
Mhm.
was like the scariest thing that's ever happened.
Run
Um,
us through that story because I want people to hear this because it is kind of like, oh crap, where are we? What do we do? Who do we call type
yeah.
situation? Like, what are
Yeah.
we gonna do type situation?
Yeah. And like just to preface, there was a couple other guys that went out on we were I Lake Conroe. I mean, I'm gonna say the guy's name, Judd Hatch.
Mhm.
So he fishes out there a ton. He runs the HTX Swimbait Association, awesome guy. So he took me and Kyle out and he is talked about as like one of the best nighttime fishermen on Conroe. Like multiple people had said that to us um when we were going out there. So he like is at home out there at nighttime. This isn't like, and even he said this was the scariest like
Mm.
moment he's ever
Which is
had out there
scary.
on the water. And
That's scary for the guy
yeah,
who
and
lives
he
there to
said
say
he's been
that.
fishing it for like, I think he said for like 30 years, 20, 30 years he's been fishing like Conroe or so. So, and the other couple guys we talked to that were out there that night as well, both said that that was the most insane thing that's ever happened to them. So we're night fishing. It's like getting towards the end of the night. It's 12:30, 1 o'clock. We're like, okay, let's start. We were out like across Conroe, like if you're going fast, like 50, like we were, a 10-minute, 15-minute run, like across Conroe. It's a big lake.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's not like we were like right by the launch that we launched from, but we're coming back and it was around 1 o'clock. All of a sudden, like it's slowly starting to get foggy. We didn't even see the fog like coming in. And within like 2 minutes, all of a sudden, Judd had to like kill the motor. Fog is around the boat, and we're in the center of Conroe, literally like in the center. You can't see like anything at all. No lights on the shoreline, like nothing at all. And like the whole shoreline of Conroe is lit up, right? With houses and businesses. And dude, we couldn't see anything. You couldn't see if you're sitting, he's got like a 20-foot boat.
Hmm.
If you're sitting at the console, you could barely see the graph on the front of the boat. That's how much fog there was. You could not see outside the gunnels. So we're sitting there and we're like, okay, well, we'll just use the graphs, right? We'll use the
Hmm.
graphs. That's fine. We'll go back. Well, he looks at his graph and it's spinning in circles. So the fog was so thick that the satellites were not like
Communicating.
communicating with the
Yeah.
graph. Yeah. So then we're like, okay, let's pull out like the compass. So I like went on my phone to the compass app
Hmm.
and look at the compass. The compass is spinning in circles. We're like, okay. So then at that point, you like start to get dizzy in your head because you don't know, like, you're like, wait, are we spinning? So
Yeah.
like you get nauseous because your equilibrium's like all off. You
Hmm.
can't see the water next to the boat. You like literally can't see the
You're like in the
water. So
Twilight
like you
Zone.
don't know if dude, you don't know if you're spinning or not. Yeah, dude, it was like me, we were all looking at each other. We're like, is this like real? Like, is this happening? Me and Kyle had just spent, we fished at Anthony's
Yeah.
Lake from like 4 or 6 a.m.
Hmm.
until like 2. Then we went to the Houston show until 6. And then we went out with Judd from 6 to 1 a.m.
Hmm.
So we are like, dude, we're like so sleep deprived. We're like, dude, what is going on right now? So we just started driving, dude, and it took us like an hour and a half. But the scary thing is, like, you hear a couple other boats out there running, and like they sounded like they were going fast. If you someone like is coming at you, they're gonna
Yeah.
hit you. Like you're done. Like if you go in the water, you're not gonna see where the boat is to get back to the
Mhm.
boat, and you can't see the shore because there's no lights.
Yeah.
So you're literally just floating out there.
Hmm.
So, dude, it was a scary situation, but after it almost took us like 2 hours to find the shoreline, and we were probably 15 feet from the shoreline before we saw a light. That's how thick the fog was. And then we just followed that back all the way across the lake back to the launch. But yeah, it was it was not fun.
Yeah, that's crazy because we watched that fog roll in by Anthony's house that night, and I was like, "That's
Yeah.
crazy." It's like a very ominous fog rolling through Houston, and I was like, "Damn!" Didn't think anything of it. I don't know if it ever actually came over to Anthony's house, but then you guys came and told me that you and I were looking at some baits, and you told me that story, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy!" Like we watched that fog, and Noel and I were making a joke, like, "Dude," because it was like foggy almost every night that we were there. Like you'd see some kind of fog, or like it'd get hazy. And I was like, this is so weird. It's like the
Yeah.
Houston haze, like Houston fog. And then that night it was really, really bad. And yeah, then you guys came and told me that story the next day, and I was like, that's something that I mean, maybe it happens up here, but I've never seen fog so thick up here that like you couldn't navigate your way back to the shoreline at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've been in thick fog where you can see like, 10 feet in front of the boat at
Hmm.
least, but like usually your graphs work or something. So you just follow that back.
Yeah.
Or you see like a faint light on the
Hmm.
shoreline. Yeah, there was nothing. You could have like said we were out in the middle of the ocean. You would have not been able
Right.
to tell the difference. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I think I showed you that video on Lake St. Clair a couple of years ago, and it was bad, but it wasn't that bad. Like you could your lake chip would still work, and like you could see people once you got to like 30 feet away, but still like same thing. You'd be fishing there, and you'd hear a motor start up, and then you just hear them just open it up, and it's like, oh my gosh, like what is this guy doing? Like I've experienced that on the Detroit River too, and that's really scary. Like when they're walleye fishing and there's 1,000 boats up there, and on the Detroit River you motor up to the front of like the river, and then you just float drift back. And so like you
Yeah.
got continuous. It's like traffic. Like guys are running up, guys are coming back down, and when there's thick fog like that, you're bobbing and weaving in a maybe like a 400-yard wide river system, and there's 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people out there. That was that was really scary because that was the first time I'd ever been out
Yeah.
there. It was super foggy, and then like they were working on that new Ambassador Bridge or whatever the new bridge is. So like you had all this stuff
Yeah.
going
The
on. You could
Gordie
hear all these.
Howe.
Yeah, you had all this stuff going on. You had
Yeah.
those guys working on that on a Saturday. You have motors starting up. It was like it was hard to enjoy because it was so eerie and it was so like on edge the whole time. So I don't have a crazy fog story like that, but those are my two fog experiences where it's like this is this is kind of scary, but at least the graphs still work.
Yeah. Yeah, that Detroit River, yeah, when they're walleye
Mhm.
jigging like that and it's packed, dude, it's something. Like there's more boats than you could ever think would fit in that
Yeah.
space for sure. You're like bumping into people. Like
Hmm.
if people don't know what we're talking about, go look up pictures. And yeah, it's like there's 2,000 boats in the
Hmm.
size of a football field. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's it's a very interesting thing. I've done it once, and I'm like, I'm kind of content if I never go do that again. Like I'd rather go fish on
Yeah.
the bay or something a little bit more open and could fit a little more people out there without. I mean, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like multiple fights in those parking lots every season because it gets dicey out there quick.
Oh yeah. Even out on St. Clair, like people are yelling at each other,
Hmm.
when you get too close. Cause yeah, dude, there's so many boats out there, especially like even on an off day. You go to like one spot that like everybody knows about. There's, 50 to 100 boats once again in like a football sized area,
Yeah,
and they're all just beating down the smallies, and people are like, dude, back off.
yeah.
But
And
yeah,
the crazy thing is St. Clair has so many smallmouth in it that you don't. I mean, you don't need to be like this is my property type thing.
yeah,
There's a gajillion fish in that freaking lake, and there's a lot of big fish too. It's not like you're fighting over like not to out anything, but Mille Lacs is like the type of lake. It's like St. Clair, but they only hold on to like boulders and stuff, and there's only small spots with chunk rock. So that's kind of a thing where you scan the lake, you have your spots in quotations, and then there's like a few community holes here and there. And like you roll up on somebody
yeah,
fishing a spot and you start fishing on that rock pile too, there's going to be some altercation going on. But St. Clair, it doesn't matter if it's sand, if it's rock, if it's wood, if there's a sunken ship, or if it's a shipping line. Like there's fish everywhere out there. Like you just troll around
yeah.
casting, blind casting off the side of the boat and you're catching fish.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much space out there. I mean, I don't think people realize how big those lakes are either.
No, not at
Like
all.
when we were in Texas and somebody asked like how big is St. Clair compared to Conroe, which St. Clair is like our smallest lake when you compare it to like the Great Lakes,
Yep.
obviously.
Hmm.
But St. Clair was like a ridiculous like 20 times bigger than Conroe or
Conroe.
like something like crazy. Yeah. Like it's a big body of water for sure.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, and like Saginaw Bay's pretty dang big too. Saginaw Bay's really big actually, and that's like
Yeah.
I've never fished out there, but I knew when the MLF guys went out there last year, not MLF. Yeah, MLF. When the MLF guys went out
Yeah, it
there
was.
last year, like I texted all, and then I'm like, dude, like there's a lot of floating wood out there. Like your prop is gonna get beat up. He's like, oh, we'll take it slow or whatever. And then like 2 days later, he posted a video of a guy banging on his prop because it's just all like just mangled. And I was like, dude, it's I
Oh, I
know
think
I know
I saw
college
that.
college used to fish out there a lot and everybody's boat would just get so beat on from hitting trees and hitting logs and sunken timber and stuff. Like it's a very interesting place. I've never fished out there and I don't know if I would care to do it out of my own boat. But if you're not paying attention or you just don't know like where stuff is, like if you're not a part of any of the local pages, like it's an interesting place. Same with St. Clair. Like last year, I was gonna try to meet up with you. We were going out to St. Clair, and St. Clair's got this weird thing, like
Oh
where if
yeah.
there's mud, like the smallmouth fishing's terrible. Like with the ice out and like the way the wind is, there's sometimes like these huge, huge, like miles and miles and miles, wide patches of mud, and it turns the water into like that JB Thompson or JB Thomas, whatever it is, like clay color
Yeah.
and you can like update the satellite views on like Google Earth or whatever you use, but it changes so fast that you never really know. And last year it was kind of up in the air, so we didn't end up going. And it's just like it's crazy that big water changes as much as it does too. Like you guys think of big water like that Conroe Lake, it probably doesn't change that much, because it's an enclosed, what we would call an inland lake.
Yeah.
But the big lakes like St. Clair or like Saginaw, and then obviously the Great Lakes, like those lakes are changing all the time with the wind, with the current, with
Yeah.
like what's going on with the ice melt. Like those lakes are never the same ever. They're always changing a little bit every
Yeah,
day.
'cause yeah, it's all flowing, like it's all connected, so it goes up and around and all the way back down. So yeah, that is just getting all the runoff from like everything. So yeah, it could be different day to day. Like one day you can see the bottom at, most of the lake is like what, 10 to 15
Yeah.
feet. There's like
Yeah. Like,
deeper spots in the
mhm.
channels, but um yeah, you can see the bottom like clear as day, and then like the next day you go out and there's a couple feet of visibility, and
Yeah.
it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so especially for you coming across, dude, yeah, it's a crapshoot.
Mhm.
Like you never know what you might get.
Yeah.
Luckily, I'm only about like 45 minutes, like
Mm.
an hour, like with some traffic.
Mhm.
So, but yeah.
So you're fishing a lot of your inland lakes around you. Okay, so when we say inland lakes, forgot I've probably thrown this word around. Maybe people know, maybe people don't. When I say inland lakes, that's just referring to a lake that's inside the state of Michigan. That's not a bordering lake to a Great Lakes like St. Clair or like Grand Traverse Bay or Saginaw Bay. This is its own water body system, body of water system, its own ecosystem. It doesn't have any other acts of nature on it like those other big lakes we've been talking about. So you're sticking to a lot of like inland lakes around your area.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I never thought about that. Like every other state just has inland lakes, I
Yeah.
guess. Like our lakes, yeah, we have specific inland lakes that aren't the Great Lakes, I
Mhm.
guess. So yeah, I'm dude, like I said, I have so many lakes around me, and I have lakes where I've like mapped out spots and like broken them down for the last couple years, and I've had them on a list, and I haven't even been able to hit them yet because there's just so many lakes by me. So yeah, I say generally like a 30-minute to an hour max radius around my house. And yeah, I could have 500 bodies of water right there.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I have like probably five-ish lakes that I like really fish hard that I've like really gotten to know over the years that I stick to those ones. One of them that's right by my house is like a decent size. It's like 500 acres.
Mm.
And yeah, I fish that one like pretty hard regularly. So, but yeah, the inland lakes, man, I'm sure they're just like by you. We don't have like stumps or like
Mm.
in any like underground or underwater like structure, really. It's just
Yeah.
like weed beds and, more bowl shape, like some
Yep.
steep drop offs, no like ledges or cliffs
Mhm.
underwater. Um, so yeah, our fishing is very different from a lot of people, I
Mhm.
think, especially the guys down south or guys out in Arizona or
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of where I'm sticking to.
Mhm. Yeah, we have some pretty featureless lakes. I've mentioned it before, and I know Nate's been on and he mentioned it. You're mentioning it now. Like they're just giant bowls with weed patches. That's why like people ask me, how do you fish a glide? And I say you sink it down a foot above a weed patch and the fish will come up for it. Like that's kind of the go-to around here. The middle is usually the deepest part of a lake in Michigan and the shallow is the ring around it that goes around the shore and it just slowly bowls into itself. And not that that's a bad thing, it kind of
Yeah.
makes it easy, but it also makes it when you find openings in weed patches or flats, like if you can find like a 16-foot flat that goes for 30 yards and then it drops down to like 20 feet, like there's a lot of small little characteristics like that if you look at topographs or topo charts, you can really kind of get an idea of the bass, not only the bass, but the crappie too, like in the wintertime. You can really pattern fish decently well if you kind of have an idea of what the fish are doing in that lake and then kind of drawn the conclusion from there. One thing I was going to ask you is you are, like I said, in a more heavily populated area than I am, and we've been talking about the clear water and kind of those fish being spookish like that. Have you noticed an increase in fishing pressure since like COVID? Like, have you noticed that these fish don't react to a drop shot like they used to, or kind of what's your insight for the southeast part of the state like that?
Yeah, I think the water overall definitely has more like pressure. I guess you could use that term, or just like more people on the bodies of water. So like I'm sure most of the country, like especially Michigan, because we have all this water. When COVID hit, like everybody bought a boat because our governor was like, the one thing you guys are allowed to do is go out on the water and like use the lakes. So like everybody bought a boat. So yeah, dude, there's like thousands of boats out on like a 500-acre lake. And yeah, during the daytime, you are not fishing. If it's on the weekend during the day,
Mm,
especially in the summer, and I think it's because we have such a short time frame of nice weather too, like you are not going to be able to fish. So guys here, like we need to fish like early morning, like I'm talking like before the sun comes up to like an hour or two after
Yeah.
the sun comes up. Like once it hits like 10 o'clock, dude, all the pleasure boaters are out and you're done. Like you can't even go on a 500 to 1,000 acre lake faster than like no wake speed because you're gonna hit another boat. So like that's why I do a lot of night fishing too in the summer times. Like that's the only time when like some of those lakes are open.
Hmm.
Unless you're fishing some of the smaller lakes that don't have gas motors that you have to like that are more, paddleboard, kayak,
Yeah.
or just running trolling motor. But yeah, so I definitely think there's more people on the water. I think around here with being so close to St. Clair and with you too, you're on the other side
Hmm.
on the big lake. It's just like fishing is just in our blood. Like everybody fishes growing up because that's like the one of the only fun things we have to do here, is like outside fishing in the summer and then like skiing and snowboarding in the
Hmm.
winter.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think
it makes it hard. It also makes it hard because yeah, we have a lot of water, but it's also not hard to find out where people fish. I don't know if you've ran into that, but I fish a little bit different because I fish those pier heads, so it's really easy. When there's only I think 16 pier heads on the west side of the state, it's easy to figure out where somebody's fishing. And that used to be a really big thing. Like before COVID, that wasn't like people didn't talk about fishing the pier heads. And then after COVID, people realized that that's where the big smallmouth and big largemouth were. So it really blew up. I mean, I've got videos from 2020, COVID year fishing 4th of July, and there was a day where I had like an upper 30 to 40 fish caught on the taxi shed, the fish everything, or no, the taxi trout, the fish everything taxi trout, just bouncing, just trolling alongside the pier heads, and that was probably the most crazy fishing I've had out there. And then every year since then, there's just been more people that have fished out there, with live goby, with live gobies, with drop shots, with stuff like that. Not necessarily the swim bait stuff, but the fishing. You can tell the fishing is taking a big hit. Like the fish just don't sit there like they used to anymore.
yeah.
You used to see big fish like right on the seawall, and now they're out 30 feet, 30 yards, and they don't hardly eat. They don't even come up and look at a glide bait or anything anymore. And it's been pretty heartbreaking to see the quote unquote the downfall of the fishery that I grew up getting to fish and like getting to experience.
Yeah, that's rough. I know St. Clair is like the same way, like we
Mhm.
said. Like it's taken a beating and I mean it obviously gets fished a ton. Um, but luckily like the inland lakes around, there isn't like too much pressure like that where people are like taking too many spots or you still have like the gatekeeping that you have across all of fishing. If you go into like local tackle shops, people will like talk, but then like they'll be like, well, don't tell anybody this though,
Yeah.
but I think there's, like I said, so many bodies of water and so many options to fish that it's not as big of a problem around me. But I do know, like, for you, without as many lakes or other places, we have nowhere near as many problems as like California
Yeah.
or, Texas
Texas.
or
Yeah.
even like Florida. Yeah. I, but yeah, I've heard of some horror stories in California and Texas of, yeah, whole fisheries being destroyed. But yeah, luckily that hasn't happened to us. Hopefully it never does just because of how much water we have, but only time will tell.
Yeah. It's crazy to see how much water there is and kind of like, going back to what you said, how many I wish there's probably a public number of how many like boating registrations they sell a year or like uh state park passes and stuff like that because up here there's a lot of state parks on a lot of these lakes or like federal campgrounds and stuff, and it's always packed. There's kind of a rule where if there's like a campground on a lake, I try not to fish it until the fall because there's just going to be so many people there. Not even people that are fishing, but just people swimming at the beach when you're trying to launch my paddleboard or just dude, the other thing is like fishing at night when there's other people around, that is arguably scarier for me because I don't know what people are gonna do. Like I don't know if somebody's sitting at their campfire watching me fish or something. Like there's just an eerie thing about fishing at night. And
Yeah.
maybe it's just because it's on the paddleboard and it's, you know, 9 times out of 10, like I said, I'm out in the middle of nowhere because all these like lakes are in wooded areas with like little self-service campgrounds or like no electricity campgrounds and stuff. So it kind of leaves just an eerie thought in the back of your mind. Like if I was fishing on like a lake like
Yeah.
Lake Conroe, I don't think I would think about it at all, or like Ladybird, or you know just any of those really big populated lakes. It would be a lot different. But up
Yeah.
here, like when you're in the Manistee National Forest, it's kind of a puckering feeling, or like you're hearing coyotes and stuff. Like dude, it's scary. Now, okay, maybe scary is not the right word. It's an
Yeah.
eerie thing to night fish up here.
Yeah, yeah, it just leaves a bad feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Luckily here where we night fish, most of the bigger lakes are just, riddled with houses.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not, and it's like all lit up around the
Hmm.
shoreline. So, it's not, it doesn't feel too crazy. A lot of times, like, there will be like some big house party going on with like
Yeah.
a band, and then we're just like out there, like, 100 yards off fishing, listening to the music. So,
Yeah.
It's it's not too eerie like that. I don't think I would be going on a paddleboard out in the forest like that, like you do at
Dude,
night. That would freak me out a bit.
it it's eerie. Like I said, it's scary. And like I don't know if I've ever told this story. I was night fishing 2 years ago on this lake and I caught a big fish. I had it in the net and I caught it like 20-ish yards off the bank and I couldn't turn my headlamp on for whatever. Or no, I turned it on and I started paddling up to the bank and I had the fish in the net and I looked down and it was later in the summer, early fall. I looked down, I'm like, oh cool, it's like 4 feet deep, 4 feet, 3 feet deep here. So I jump off the paddleboard. It was a marl bottom. I sunk all the way to like my neck was in the water. I'm
Oh
holding onto my
no.
board, dude. I was wearing waders. It was cold. I got up. I like
Oh,
tiptoed up the hill or up the bank. Got to the bank, weighed the fish and everything, and I was like, I'm getting out of here. Like this is scary. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was freezing cold. The bugs were terrible. Like it was just cold enough where the bugs were bad, but the water was cold, and it was so
yeah.
miserable. That's probably I
Dude,
went a
that's
couple times
scary.
last year, and it was just like that thought was in the back of my mind. Or like you hear like coyotes and stuff around here, or like bobcats or owls, and
Yeah.
it's all normal stuff, but it's all stuff that kind of like, oh, I'm sharing the lake with something that's not a person. Like this is kind of eerie.
Yeah, yeah, when it's pitch black out there and you hear like the coyotes howling right next to
Hmm.
you, yeah, it's still they're not going to attack you because they don't do that, but
Yeah.
it's eerie. It's eerie for sure.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's scary, man. On a paddleboard with the waders on is
At night.
risky business for
Yeah.
sure.
I know, I know. Have you guys ever tried Lake St. Clair at night? Is that a thing down there? Have you heard anybody doing that?
I have not. I haven't really heard of people doing that. Yeah, really. I know I mean there's obviously always boats out there
Right.
because there's like the yachts and stuff that
Hmm.
like camp like
Yeah.
on the water. Um but yeah, no, we've never done just a strict night fishing St. Clair trip.
Hmm.
That would be interesting.
It would be.
Usually we do it around here.
Hmm.
Driving at night is it's I actually, now that I think about it, I know one guy who went out to Saginaw Bay at night last year,
Screw that.
and yeah, he did not have a good time.
Yeah, I
He's
believe
like,
it.
I should not have done this. Like I forget what happened, but yeah, something happened. Like his like battery died or like
Mm.
something crazy where he's like, and he was by himself. That's one thing, dude. I don't think I'd ever night fish by myself.
Right.
Like one of the smaller lakes right by me,
Mm.
maybe, but yeah, going, running out a few hours to Saginaw Bay and getting out there,
Yeah.
yeah, that's scary.
No, I'm good with all that. You like
Yeah.
we had both mentioned the bowl lakes with the grass, weed patches. Is that what you find yourself doing a lot? Is like sinking baits above the weed patches and kind of more times than not, it seems like pulling those fish up from bottom to come eat the baits.
Yeah, one thing, so I have live scope on my boat,
Mm.
and one thing I talk about this with Dylan all the time because he has it on his boat too. Live scope for us is really like a weed finder,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like, because all the big fish, they're in those huge, like we have weed patches, and with that, like we're talking about clear water, you might have a 20-foot deep bottom, and there's like 12-foot deep weeds
Yeah.
coming up, like lush greenery. So, like, you're not seeing fish on live scope. If you're seeing fish, it's like little bait balls. So, what I generally do is I'll do the same thing. So I'll like look at a lake from the top, see kind of where that underwater, where like some kind of point goes out to like a deep spot like that. Then I go out there and then I start scanning for big weeds. And generally, like the biggest, like thickest stuff you can find, like I will drop baits down and I like to fish like along them. So like I will drop the baits down and fish along the weed edge once I can like hit the right spot, and I'll pull them like out a lot, or or yeah, you'll have them come up like off the bottom. But even in like, a foot of weeds, those bass are still sitting on the bottom in that stuff. So yeah, you can never, all of the biggest fish I've caught, like you never see them,
Mm.
like they're always in those weeds. But yeah, that's kind of what I do because I feel like most people, I don't know if it's like this by you, but most people by me, like your average, like weekend warrior fisherman, everybody just beats the bank.
Yeah.
Like, and with all of the docks that we have, like I said, all these lakes are just like riddled with houses.
Mhm.
They just go along the whole outside of the lake, and there will be like a train of like
Yeah.
50 boats just going around the outside. Like everybody's just flipping like a Texas rig under
Hmm.
every single dock along the whole lake all day long. So that's like when I started, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna like forget this. I'm gonna go out to the center of the lake and like I'd be the only boat out there.
Hmm.
And people would like look at me like this guy's out in the middle of nowhere. And that's kind of what I would do is I would just find these random patches, like you said, and
Hmm.
that's what I fish. So yeah, really it's just going around the lakes, finding like the random weed patches in 20 to 30 feet of water and yeah, dropping glides down and running it around like on the edges of them.
Yeah, yeah, that's been it's kind of the same thing with like ice fishing when you're trying to catch big crop, your big bluegill, it's kind of what you do. And also uh yeah, so for anybody who doesn't know, you'll have I can speak for it in the sense of a fish finder, like ice fishing, you'll punch a hole and you'll put your fish finder down and your fish finder will read like 20 foot and then all of a sudden like a gust of breeze or the current kind of moves and it'll scan all the way down to 30 foot and then you see the weeds like kind of move and you're like, oh, okay, there's like 10 foot of weeds right here. So you know, like you'll be watching your graph and you'll see fish rise up for your bait out of the weeds. And then like that's when I learned, I did that for a while and that's kind of when I learned like, oh, these fish like stay in these weed patches. So what makes it any different in the summertime? And so you learn that, and then you start sinking your glide baits down, or you're fishing your glide baits like 2 or 3 feet under the water over these patches out in the middle of nowhere. And these fish, luckily because our water's so clear, like we've been kind of saying, these fish will just shoot up and just smack the bait. Like if you guys have ever seen those older clips that Tactical Bassin used to post, like with the S waiver, when it was like right next to the trolling motor and these fish would just like shoot straight up to eat it. That's kind of like not verbatim of what we have, but that's like a very accurate representation of what I get to experience. I'm sure it's probably fairly similar to kind of what you guys do down there, Will.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you will have them come up and eat like a glide that's, just under the surface and they will come up from
Hmm.
20 or 30 feet because they can see it up there.
Hmm.
So if they're like, if that bite is on, that bite is a lot of fun because you can literally go across the lakes and just, cast just blindly across
Yeah.
the entire lake. And dude, when I have those days, that's a lot of fun.
Hmm.
But then there's, the other days where you have to drop them down and get it right in front of their face.
Yeah.
And yeah, make sure you have like a lure retriever like knocker or
Hmm.
something to get those baits out. I always say, especially up here with like the northern pike and muskie and stuff, Dude, if you're gonna fish a glide, be ready to lose it because there's like a 50% chance you're gonna lose it at some point. Like with all of the thick weeds we have,
Mhm.
or with the all the walleye, pike, musky, toothy fish, dude, it's rough. I've lost, thousands and thousands of dollars of baits to mainly northern pike for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's always the small ones that
Hmm.
take the baits
Right.
too.
And the other thing is like fishing a soft bait. I think that's like a lot of guys don't have confidence in a soft bait. I've said it before. And up here it's hard. Like you have to know how deep you're fishing so you can count that bait down and start working it above those grass lines. Because if you're just trying to sink a bait all the way down to the bottom, you're gonna get snagged up every cast. You're gonna just not it's not gonna be enjoyable for you. So if you have an idea of where you're fishing and kind of what the bottom's like, it makes you it in clear water and specifically Michigan, it makes you so much more efficient of an angler. You know, okay, I was here, I just graphed this and it's 16 foot deep with weeds up to 10 foot. I'm gonna count my bait down to 7 foot and I'm just gonna try to keep it there. Like that makes it so your bait is in that, quote unquote strike zone for so much longer and you'll have so much more success doing that than when the fish aren't coming up to eat it. That's saying the fish aren't coming up 9 feet to eat it off the top, like we were just talking about. Like when they're kind of
Yeah.
sunken in those weeds a little bit more, you get so much more action and so much more enticing. And it's more technical. You have to think about it and kind of count stuff down and weight stuff and tune stuff. But man, there's no better feeling, especially like with a hard bait. Like if you're fishing it and you kind of get hung up on a weed, like on a overhead weed, and you kind of pop it off, and you get two glides in, and a fish comes up and eats it. Like it's like
Yeah.
the equivalent of fishing a crankdown and like bouncing off a rock or a piece of wood. Like it's one of the most fun things ever.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, like I say, if you're like just ticking the weeds, like you can almost feel them. But then when you pull your bait up out of the water, you don't have like a big clump on it. Like there might be like one or two little stragglers on there. You're like right in the sweet spot. Like you want to be like right on that
Hmm.
stuff. Because yeah, sometimes if you're too far off of it, yeah, they're not gonna come out. They're like, oh, I'm comfy in my home,
Yeah.
especially if they're not feeding. Um, yeah, they're not gonna come out to grab it. So yeah, it's funny. Dude, I have like the little like gram scale that I
Oh
like
yeah,
keep
yeah.
in my tackle bag. And I'll like pull out my little the like Gamakatsu box with all
Hmm.
my weights. And dude, I'm like a scientist out there on the water. I'm like waiting, like, okay, I need one more little
Yeah.
like, little bit to get
Hmm.
this to hit perfect. So
Right.
yeah, it's pretty funny how like just casting it out and letting it drop all the way down to the bottom and just waiting seems insane to me. Like you
Hmm.
have to get it above those weeds unless you have a beast hook on like you can get away with it on like a citizen most of the time, but you can't like bend your hook up at all. You got to leave it
Yeah.
flat. Hookup ratio is pretty hard. Like you got to be ready to crank into those fish, like
Hmm.
reel down your slack all the way before you like even sometimes like the battle shed because the back is more rounded,
Right.
like you'll catch more weeds with that. So like sometimes a citizen, but yeah, like treble hook bait on like a soft bait is not happening most of the
Hmm.
time unless it's on the top. And like we said, you know exactly where your bait's at. Otherwise, yeah, you're pulling weeds every cast. I don't care if you're like next to the shore or you're all the way out in 30 feet. Yeah, you're pulling weeds.
Yeah, and then you kind of blowing the spot up. Maybe not necessarily, but in my mind, once I rip a weed out, it's kind of like I gotta circle back around. Like that fish kind
Yeah.
of knows something's up. That's why like it's hard preferencing the people not wanting to fish soft baits. It's hard because if I can just sink a glide bait down 3 feet under the water, like and catch fish, then why would I go through the hassle of, you know, snagging weeds on a soft bait or trying to get my bait through a crazy marsh ball down there? It's like just kind of take the quote unquote the easy route, the simpler route is probably a better way to put it, and just fish the glide bait 3 feet under and like we said, you might not always get bites, but you're definitely gonna catch one or two doing that because the fish just they lose their mind for it because it's so clear and they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, not many people fish glides up here. Like we're blessed with that. Um, I mean, I'm sure me and you know most of the people who fish glide baits in Michigan or big baits in general. Like if you walk into a tackle shop up here and ask for a 10-aught beast hook or like something that of that size, they're like the shop owner will be like, there's no way you're catching
Yeah.
bass with that hook.
Hmm.
You know, it's like so like
Taboo.
like
It's
frowned
taboo.
upon up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't fish for bass with that. Like up here it's all little stuff or like Texas rig stuff, I feel
Mhm.
like, or Kitech
Yeah.
swimmers, or just on like guppy heads or stuff like that. Like once you get into bigger baits, like a 5-inch bait, they're like, no, 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 that's like the top. Like
Hmm.
don't go more than like a 5-inch bait, you know? So yeah, when you throw like sometimes you throw like a 9-inch glide out there and dude, you'll catch a 12-inch fish just because they're like, what is that?
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah. And then
know?
like also you're starting to see some more big baits for sale in some tackle shops. One in particular, my buddy sent me a picture of a what was it? Like a bull shooter, a depths bull shooter, like a 160. And it was like some
Yeah,
outrageous dollar amount. And I said, do not buy that. I said, I can get it for you for way cheaper. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I said, I don't know who's buying that because if they're buying that, they have to have an idea that they can look online elsewhere. And also, I don't know why they have them because I don't think anybody's buying them. Like, if it's just like I was kind of blown
right.
away by it. I think they had some 250, or maybe they only had the Silent Killer build 250s. And he sent me a picture of those as well. And I was like, why? Like, that's a very weird thing to have because I know a lot of people and not a lot of people fish that bait as it is. So some tackle shop in Michigan has a couple of them to try to sell. It was just very, very
Yeah.
weird. I was very, very shocked. I was like, huh, I don't know who's ordering their baits, but good for them because they're buying some niche things that I'm pretty far into the niche, and I don't know many guys that much further who are fishing those or fishing the Silent Killer to be more specific in that niche because that's
Right.
just a weird bait. I mean, it's cool, but I don't ever see fish caught on it.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I would say like I'm sure it's like this across the country, but in the last like year, there's been like an uptick in the bigger baits in the shops. But like you said, it's only a couple ABS baits. Like you will never see a resin bait in a Michigan like tackle shop
Mhm.
ever. Um, like even some of the ones we were talking about that do carry like JDM stuff or some more niche stuff, they still don't have resin baits. So it's still yet to make its way up here, which I'm not mad about, but you know, at the same time, because I want to keep catching those fish, you know,
Mhm.
that other people aren't getting because they've never seen those baits. But
Right.
I still do want people to experience the fun of catching fish on big baits, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like a
I would
catch 22.
Right. I would like stuff to be more accessible, like the beast hooks. Like I hadn't bought beast hooks because I didn't want to order anything online. So like when we were down in Houston, I got some from the Tackle Shack and I got some other stuff too. And I was just like, man, it would be so convenient if we had a shop like this in the state or maybe one or two in the state. Because dude, they would make I say they would make a lot of money, but I think a lot of these tackle shops make a lot of money just because, like you said, everybody fishes a drop shot, a tube, a
Hmm.
craw, smallmouth stuff. Like it's all everybody fishes the same thing. Like everybody has the same terminal tackle in their boxes. It's just is what baits are they fishing is the only thing that changes. Like there's jerk baits, drop shots, Ned heads, and tubes. Like there's a couple other probably small things like outside of a like a largemouth jig. It's just like the same hand of Texas rig stuff, like you said, the same handful of stuff everybody
Yeah.
has. So nobody has to try to buy this like the 10 odd or 12 odd beast hooks or anything outside of the realm of, quote unquote, the normal stuff here. And it's like, yeah, it's really cool that the market's like so dialed in around here, but it's also like, well, I want to be able to buy stuff. Like I want to be able to go to the shop and buy these beast hooks or buy these treble hooks or buy this 20-pound P line or whatever else it may be. And it's like we don't have that. Whether like you said, it's for a good
Yeah.
thing or a bad thing, it's just kind of like, oh, I gotta order it online or I gotta find somewhere that has it in stock. That seems to be the issue nowadays is finding stuff in stock in places.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you look at like my online shopping carts from tackle shops, it's only terminal tackle, you know,
Mhm.
because like you said, you'll never find a BKK hook like anywhere in a
Mhm.
tackle shop like up here, or yeah, any big swim bait hooks at all. Um, it's just we're in the like severe minority up here. Like everybody like fishes walleye or they
Mhm.
fish smallies with like the small stuff, or they're trying to get like they're going out for like salmon or
Mhm.
something like on the big water.
Yeah.
But yeah, largemouth bass fishing in general, I feel like is pretty like not very popular compared to the other ones.
Mhm.
Like you go to like the fishing shows that we have here,
Oh
like you
man.
have the one by
Mhm.
you and then the one by us. Dude, it's 99% walleye fishing,
Mhm.
like especially over here by St. Clair and Detroit River and
Mhm.
stuff. Like you find some like a good bass like booth, you're like,
Right.
this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, my first or second year going to the Grand Rapids show, I found quattro or like quad hooks somewhere. I don't know, I don't remember what booth it was. It was in a discount bin, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like I couldn't believe I had just found these, and it was like 2019 or 2018. I like freaked out, and I bought them, and since then I have never found them at that show ever again. I've never seen quads at this show, let alone that booth again. So it was like just this random thing that somebody maybe asked them to put a custom order in and they ordered a couple and then they just never came and picked them up or whatever else it may have been. And yeah, 2018 we'll say, so going on 8 years, I've never stumbled upon any ST36s in like size ones or ST like 46s or anything along those lines, let alone quads. It was I don't know, that's like what opened my eyes to it is a severe lack of needed terminal tackle in the state of Michigan for a swim bait guy. Like, yeah, you can find some like hooks, like some not quads, but some kind of trouble hook, but it's not gonna be like the
Yeah,
BKK spears or the 36s or something. It's like an eagle claw round bend, which are fine. Guys use those on big baits,
right.
but that's not necessarily what I want to fish if I have the opportunity. I'd rather fish something else that I have more confidence in, and there's just that's not a thing around here
Yeah, yeah. The trouble hooks are for, things that
for
are not for
baits.
bass
Yeah,
fishing, especially for glides.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like they're like making some kind of stringer thing for like I don't even know, like some crazy like perch thing
Oh
or
yeah.
something for like northern pike or you
Hmm.
know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How they do like the perch thing with all the
Yep. The
all the
bait. Yeah.
wires off of it and
Hmm.
yeah, not for us.
It's crazy. I think the swim bait thing will get more popular here. It obviously has. Like I've seen an uptick of a good amount in the last 9 to 10 years, but it's still very small. Like I could still probably name uh 80 to 90% of the guys who are doing it, like doing it as in like fishing swim baits like 2 or 3 times a week, not necessarily like own a glide bait, but you can count
Mhm.
on maybe 3 or 4 hands the amount of guys who are like doing it to the sense of making posts on Instagram or like in the groups or show up to events, that sort of thing. There's really not many people. There's guys who like who do it quote unquote like recreationally. Like I said, they'll have a K9 or something like that, and they'll fish it maybe once a month. Or if they're fishing a tournament, they need a kicker fish, they'll pull out the TK or the Metro or Chad whatever. But there's really not a lot of guys who are like swim baits 90% of the time. It's very maybe not even slept on. It's just people just think you're goofy for doing it, which maybe they're not wrong, but I
Yeah.
mean. Back in the day, dude, I used to catch a lot of big fish on big swim baits that nobody else was catching at the time on drop shots and jigs and that sort of thing. So I don't know, it wasn't goofy back then, and a lot of us still catch decent fish now, so it can't be that goofy now.
Right. Yeah, no, I've never got like a normal look when I show people the baits that I throw,
Mm,
like local people.
hmm.
They're like, what are you fishing for with that?"
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's just a whole different world up here for sure.
I like going to St. Clair with the biggest stuff tied on. Like we went 2 years ago, I had a 10-inch mag draft tied on. I had a Shad. I had something else tied on. Maybe like that little throwback Woody. I know I had that tied on at one point in time, like the little tiny throwback Woody. Like I caught some
Yeah.
smallmouth on that. The Glideway 176. Like I would tie on obnoxious. When I go to fish a tournament with somebody, I also tie on obnoxious stuff. So people are like, "What the hell is what is that guy doing?" And then it's just fun. It's a fun mind game to play on people. Like somebody's launching their boat on St. Clair, and you look over and they got a 10-inch mag draft, and they say they're not musky fishing. Like, what is this guy doing? Like, what does he mean he's not musky fishing? Like that's all he could be fishing for out here with that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a thing that everybody's doing up here.
Mm-mm. And like you said, I think it'll get, it's like the catch 22. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to have like a good amount of people doing it because then like we could have our own meetups. We could do our own thing, but it's also like it's really fun and it's like it's really effective and efficient now. And it also goes to the point of we have a lot of water. Like it wouldn't be that big of a deal, whereas guys in California are kind of all fishing the same park ponds and stuff. So it's really like I don't think
Yeah.
it'll ever catch on just because they are so big, they're so expensive. We don't live in the most cheap well cost of living state. So like there's kind of some hurdles to get into it, I think, on top of it just takes a lot of time. And we have a lot of, like you said, toothy fish that take these baits away. So you have to really be committed to wanting to fish the big bait or wanting to catch big fish on the big bait or just fish in general on the big bait.
Yeah. Yeah, and soft baits. I mean, I've lost like citizens and battleship and tyrants on first cast, and all of a sudden you make one cast, you feel a hit, you know it's a pike because they like throttle baits. Like it's not like a bassy. Like it feels like somebody just punched your line. And dude, you reel it up and yeah, the back half of the bait is just gone.
Yeah.
Like, well, that sucks.
Have you invested in one of the sabers yet, or do you still use the glue for soft baits?
I use Mendit and then I don't have one of the sabers. I've been like hesitating because so I'll use a literal butter knife and a
Yeah.
torch
Hmm.
is what I use.
Right.
Um have you used one of the sabers
So I
or
got
no?
one. I got one to give away on Patreon, and I got it, and I took it out of the package. I cut a citizen, and I meant, or I, heated it back together, and I was like, "This is sick." I wanted to buy one when we were down in Houston, but I was like, I don't know if TSA is gonna stop me for this. Like I don't,
Yeah,
I wasn't sure. Like I know you can ship it and it's fine, but I was like, I don't know. Being a dab pen, like is TSA gonna freak out that this is like
right.
an combustible thing? So I was just like, you know what? I'll just wait and I'll buy some next time somebody drops them online. But I mean,
Yeah.
dude,
I
they're
just
legit.
hesitated because I know how much my like knife with my torch, how much like residue of plastic gets on that butter knife.
Mm-hmm.
Like on that pen, I feel like you can change those tips or do you have to like clean that tip off constantly?
So that tip is like a felt material. It's like a cloth. So I don't think anything sticks to it.
Oh,
It like it literally like
okay.
and it gets hot like that. Like I pressed the button and I was looking at it and I was standing next to my dad and I'm like, "Do you think it's hot?" He's like, "Yeah, it's hot." And I was like, "It's not like red or anything. Like you don't see like any form of like heat
Okay.
coming off it." And I touched the tip, dude, and it took my fingerprints off. I was like, "Yeah,
Burned
it's
you?
like it's hot like that. Like it's nice to
Okay.
especially with like how our pike are, where like there's slashes across the bait. It's nice to hold the bait and work it down, and you don't have to worry about the knife cooling off halfway through or holding it there while the glue cures. I like them. I think next time they drop, I'm gonna buy a couple to give away and actually buy an extra to keep for myself because it's good. It's good. I can't lie. Like I
Yeah.
still use the glue. I still have a tube of glue somewhere around here. But once I get the saber, that'd definitely be what I do majority of the time. Because you don't like on the Mend
Yeah.
It and the SB glue, it tells you to like leave it for a couple hours for it to cure and everything. And it's like if you
Yeah.
only have a pack of two and one already got ripped up in the morning, like you gotta fish this one. Like you gotta fish the one that was it's got glued up this morning. So I'd rather it be a chemical reaction that cools right away and is good rather than trying to fish a bait and it's just not necessarily fall apart, but it'd be more prone to getting
Yeah.
cut open again.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I primarily use like the
Mhm.
butter knife with the
Yeah.
torch, but I was just thinking, well, if this butter knife, I just throw those away. Like I'll
Hmm.
get one, like a pack of them from the dollar store,
Yeah.
But I was like, well, if it gets this gunked up, I
Hmm.
don't know that I want to like, am I gonna have to keep buying new saber things?
Right.
But yeah, if like you said, if it doesn't stick to it, then yeah, I'm gonna pick one up then.
Maybe, yeah, we'll see if what people comment on this, and I'll let you know because I don't think, like I said, my experience was only one citizen that was like not really that torn up. But I mean,
Yeah,
I gotta think it works good because what it was intentionally used
right,
for is like a pretty sticky substance. So I would think that that tip is
right.
made to
That's
be,
true.
I, dude, I don't know. I can't say I'm a
That is
pro at
true.
any of
That's
this
a good
stuff.
point. I
So
didn't think about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. Somebody will comment whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or Spotify and let us know. Um you and Mr. Kyle Gracely did what day do we have right here? We have like March 8th or something right now. You guys did a drop a week and a half ago?
Yeah, yeah, about, I think. It was right after Texas.
Right. So the Michigan State record is what 11-12?
Yeah, gosh, I don't remember. I think so. Yeah, 11-12. I think is
11
it.
12
Yeah.
1934, I think. Does that sound right?
Sounds right. Dude, I'd have to look at my notes. Yeah, it sounds right.
Either way, we've had a state record for forever. The lake that it was caught out of, Big Pine Island over there in Grand Rapids, still has good fish, but it doesn't have a fish like that anymore. Have you like read the story of how that guy caught that fish, like the account of him catching it that morning and stuff?
I don't know if it was I've heard the full story and I've heard the other have you heard the other story too?
The guy that
Somebody
caught it like in the
else.
60s and it was like the same weight.
Yeah, and his
Yeah.
fish was like 3 inches shorter and the
Hmm.
girth was like way less.
Yeah.
And that was for like a money competition too or
Hmm.
something.
Yeah.
So like that one is like kind of like yeah, okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, his story, you can say it again. I haven't listened to his exact story in a few years.
Yeah. It's just like he was fishing and he casted up this what was the actual bait? Like
The Bassarino, the
yeah.
redhead,
It was like,
South Bend Bassarino.
yeah, and he like caught a couple fish on it, and then he caught that fish, and it's not like a crazy story, but he caught this fish out of Big Pine Island, and dude, I don't know, Michigan state record stuff. I've talked about it like way, way, way long ago on the podcast. We've got some really fishy old state records that there's no pictures of, there's no accounts, there's no like historical documentation of these fish outside of a couple newspaper clippings and stuff like that. So it really leaves like a lot of room for uh you to draw your own conclusions from. Like that state record one that was caught in like the
Oh, for sure.
60s. It's just a weird story and like the dimensions were way different. There's like a lot of fishy stuff. But anyway, so the Bassarino is in that the white and red pattern. And so you guys did your own take on that. Was that your idea? Like did you come to Kyle with that idea? Like it would be cool if we did something like this?
Yeah, so what happened was like I've been thinking about that specific colorway for years because like even back in the day, I have some, hold on, let me grab this. Oh, if I can reach it.
If you guys aren't watching, you can
So
go onto
like
YouTube and watch the podcast on YouTube. And I think you can watch it on Spotify too.
so
But
like
anyway, continue,
this is
Will.
one of my little this is one of my little torpedoes that I used to fish as a kid,
Oh, is that a head in?
right here. Yeah.
Oh,
So
dude,
I
I
have
love
that
those.
hanging. We used to crush them on these. Um, but yeah, and then it seemed like that was like such a popular color. Like back in the day,
Hmm.
they were everywhere. And then yeah, nobody's really done it in recent years. Like there's been like a few like, one-offs or unless you go buy like some of these companies still make this specific redhead bait and some musky lures have redheads, but I was like I want to do like a modern twist on it. So that's kind of been my idea for years. But what happened was is I started fishing for Gracely like back. like September, I think Kyle reached out to me and was like, dude, I love like everything you've been doing. Like, would you want to try out some of my baits? And um, it just progressed from there and we became buddies. I fished his baits. I was like, dude, I crushed some awesome fish.
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw like I I caught so many fish
Yeah.
on his finesse chat. Like right at the end of the year, I caught a ton of solid bass, like right at five. Like I'm talking like a dozen bass, like at five in like a week's time. And then I caught that 40-inch northern and
Hmm.
then like that 27-inch walleye that was like probably right at like 8, 9 pounds, like just
Yeah.
a blimp of a walleye on it. I was like, dude, I'm loving the baits. So it just progressed from there. So now I am yeah, fishing for Gracely. And then Kyle was like, well, dude, let's do a color. Like, do you have any ideas for a color? And then I was like, I've had this idea in my head like forever. And I was like, so we started, mocking stuff up. Fun fact, Kyle is an artist. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
So he like draws their logos, like his logos and stuff.
Hmm.
And um, so we mocked up a bunch of ideas, and then we worked with Eric at Realist um to, work with because we were like, well, okay, let's incorporate the redhead, and then I was like, let's throw some blood on it. I guess I can show it. I have one right here.
Dude, that's so sick.
Um, my
There you
camera
go.
wants to
Oh, dude, it
focus,
looks so
but
good.
dude, it's so sick. So yeah, just dark, deep red with the red eyes, and then it's an unsaturated bass color. So we wanted to do like red or black and white because I don't know why I've always liked like the unsaturated stuff. I just think
Hmm.
it looked cool. But then I was like, well, it goes perfect with like the red and white. I
Hmm.
have that Bassarino bait somewhere, but um so yeah, modern take on that. And then we threw the bass profile because I was crushing them too on the bass colored finesse chat.
Mm.
I don't know if you've seen that one, but crushing them on that. So dude, it was like all of these like intertwined things. We're like, this is like the
Right.
perfect story. The guy
Yeah.
that holds the records name is William. So my name is William. Um, so yeah, it was like that. It was the state record bass. So bass print. I'm Michigan Bassman,
Hmm.
Michigan state record, redhead. Yeah. And then I was like, let's do like a blood splatter. Dude, we went through so many. Dude, we went through like a dozen variations.
Really?
Like we worked on it for like 2 months. Props to Eric. He painted up so many, so many baits. Um, Dude, so this was like one of the first ones right here.
Okay, I can see where
It
that was
was like
going.
yeah, it's like a red head, and then it had like the carp like scaling
Hmm.
with like a black line, and I was like, I want to make it more bassy. So yeah, so we ended up on this, and then it also has like a green like and blue like underflake to it, so
Yeah.
it kind of like shimmers based on
Hmm.
like the sunlight and stuff. So dude, it turned out sick. So that was part of the reason like we met up in Texas too, was for the Houston Fishing Show and to fish these baits around. So dude, it was a good time. We caught some good ones on it and missed a couple giants, which is a heartbreak, but I don't know if you saw that one. I
Yeah.
don't know if I sent that to you.
Uh,
Dude, that was a bummer, man.
yeah.
I like if you haven't seen the clip, go watch it, but like we were talking about the murky water, I had
Hmm.
no idea he was that or she was that close to the boat. I thought she was still probably like 6 feet down or so,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden she came up and was right there and didn't have the net, or we
Hmm.
didn't have a net. We didn't know.
Didn't know where
Apparently
the
there
net
was a net
was. Yeah.
under the seat. I didn't want to, it wasn't our boat. That's like a
Hmm.
whole nother story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony was just like, dude, show up at our house, my house at
There's a
6
boat
a.m. There's
here.
gonna be a boat on the shoreline.
Yeah.
Just take it. We're like, okay, whose boat is this? So we like showed up in the morning in the dark. There's a bass boat tied up on Anthony's shoreline. Me and Kyle
Hmm.
are like, I guess this is it.
Yeah.
The keys are in the boat, so we just took it and not knowing whose boat it was. So we didn't want to like go through all of their stuff,
Right.
like
Yeah.
looking for stuff, you know. So yeah, the net thing was not even a thought until we had this fish on. And
Hmm.
yeah, I came up through it. I didn't have enough line out because I didn't know it was so close and we didn't have a net. And Kyle was like getting ready to grab it, but dude, his mouth made the 7 inch just look tiny.
Right.
And yeah, it was a bummer, man. It was a real bummer. The tail on the thing was like thicker than Kyle's forearms.
Right.
And Kyle's a big dude. Like
Hmm.
it's not like it would be me. I got like skinnier,
Yeah.
like I'm
Yeah.
not a big guy, but Kyle's like 6'4", 6'5". Like how
Hmm.
big do you think he
Oh,
is?
he's
And
big. He's like 6'4".
yeah,
Yeah,
it
6'5".
looked big. Yeah, compared to him, it was a big fish. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, so it draws big bites and I'm excited to see what people do with it. The first drop went awesome, so I'm excited to start getting pictures and once people are fishing it around.
Hmm. Yeah, and hopefully, not maybe, hopefully in the next couple weeks you're able to fish it, catch some fish on it. Hopefully this warm weather stays. I know it's supposed to be like 17 on Saturday up here, and we're supposed to get some snow, but today it was like
Yeah.
51, so it's a good insight. Hopefully warm weather's on the horizon. Probably a little bit earlier for you down there. Hopefully we're not too much farther away in general though, because man, this winter's been brutal. Seems like it's drug by and it started way early and it just hasn't really let up until recently and it doesn't seem like it's
Yeah.
leaving just yet. So, gotta tough it out for a couple more weeks
Yeah.
hopefully and then we're all set.
I know we had solid ice for, yeah, it was like 4 months of straight ice.
Hmm.
Usually like it'll let up like as it warms up,
Yeah.
but like we'll go from like ice and then it'll melt and then we'll have like a little open water and
Hmm.
then we'll have some more ice. But yeah, it was just like a straight 4 months this year. It was rough, but yeah, hopefully soon because man, I had so much fun throwing it around in Texas and it was cool catching like the first fish I caught down there on it
Hmm.
was not a big fish, but dude, it was cool to just like after all of that, months of like making the color and going through everything and getting down there catching the first fish, it was like an accomplishment. I'll
Right.
probably throw that clip up here soon on Instagram just to show it. It's a cool little cast to catch, but
Were you the first one to catch a fish on that color, your color?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was right when we got down to Texas and we were staying at this Airbnb place that had like a little pond.
Mm.
So me and Kyle went out there and he had it in the finesse chat. He
Mm.
had one painted up and then I was fishing the full size 7 inch and yeah, I was the first one. It was like one of the first casts too. So it's
See.
pretty cool. I don't know if that's a good omen or a
Yeah.
bad omen, but yeah, it was pretty cool, but yeah, and then we caught quite a few more throughout the week. So yeah, we were able to land a bunch of fish on it. So that was awesome for when it all comes together.
Hmm. Yeah, especially so far away from home in kind of an unfamiliar area, you get to catch fish on a bait you helped like design the colorway with it. Like it's pretty special. It would have been, all things considered, it would have been cool to catch the first fish on it in Michigan and it'd be like a big fish. But, we can't complain
Yeah.
when it was January, February, and you had to go down to Houston to catch a fish. That's still pretty cool for what it's worth. And it was your color, which makes it even that much cooler.
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, we wanted to catch, we wanted to fish it, make sure, it works, it draws in fish and yes, we don't want to just do the drop. So we're like, we got to get down to Texas and fish this thing and test it out. And yeah, otherwise, hindsight, it would have been cool to catch the first one here, but we would have had to wait until after we
Hmm.
wanted to drop in. We didn't
Yeah.
want to do that. So, but I'm excited to get it like in the waters I know,
Hmm.
like that I'm familiar with, and be able to like fish it my way instead of, like you said, just going down to Texas in waters I don't know, like just, crap shoot trying to catch fish, but we still got them. So I'm so excited to fish it around this year.
Heck yeah, dude. That'll be sick. Uh, Wrapping this thing up, man, was there anything that you were ready to touch on that we just didn't get to at all?
Um, Not really. I mean, as far as the colorway goes, I know I've been getting a ton of messages like of people asking like if there's going to be another drop because they sold out so fast. We we did pretty good with that, but it was like pretty funny. Kyle called me at the drop time and he's like, all right, dude, they're going live. Like, I'll call you when they sell out. And I was like, okay. Like, I was so nervous, dude. We had so much interest in it and like everybody loved the color, but there's still like that thought in the back of your head. Like,
100%.
it's like my color, it's like something that's like sentimental or however you want to say it that I hope this works out. And he called me like 3 minutes later. He's like, dude, you're never gonna believe this. And I was like, what? He's like, they're gone. It's like, there's no way. Then you
So
hear
good.
like Kyle's wife in the background and my wife, they're like, what? They're gone. But yeah,
That's
so we're
awesome.
gonna be doing we're gonna do more. I don't know if we're gonna do the 7 inch again, or we do have other baits painted up in it for like testing purposes and for
Mhm.
me to fish around this year. So we'll probably be doing another drop either somewhere in this or in his other baits that he makes. So keep an eye out for that. And dude, the 9 inch too,
Mhm.
he's gonna be dropping some of those 9 inches
Oh,
too,
that'd
which
be
are
sick.
sick.
That'll look really good on the
Um,
9 inch one.
yeah. So
Oh,
this
dude,
guy right
such a
here,
slick looking
dude,
bait.
I'm so excited to get this in the water, but
Hmm.
yeah, so stay tuned. I'll be fishing that around this year and yeah, we're gonna get my color painted up on that so I can fish it around and see how it does and maybe get that out to the public at some time too. So, dude, a lot of cool things happening. Lost 40s, the murder box is dropping
Yeah,
for that. And
that'll be dropping a couple days from when this drops. This episode drops. When it is? If I can figure out how to look at the date on my
yeah,
Fitbit.
probably like a week or so,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
couple weeks maybe.
yeah, 2 weeks I think from when this drops.
April
So
1st.
yeah, so we
Yeah,
got
I know
March
you've,
9th. So yeah, it'll be very soon. That's a sick
here's one of the
color.
frogs. Yeah, this color is sick. This is what I caught that walleye on was one of these colors.
Dude,
But
that
dude,
was crazy.
explosive hits on
Hmm.
these.
Hmm.
Dude, it's a ton of fun. And like we said, with all the weedy stuff we have up here, dude, you can punch those in the weeds and yeah, they'll pull out the big ones. So, dude, fun stuff.
Yeah, dude. What are the socials? Excuse me. Gotta find my words here. Where are the socials, people? Where are the social? Oh my gosh. What are the socials so people can follow you if they're not already doing that?
Yeah, so Michiganbassman, all one word on Instagram. That's like where my like day to day is.
Hmm.
I have a TikTok as well, but don't really post on it. It's just I don't go on TikTok as much, so it's
Right.
just yeah, I'm like kind of all in with Instagram if you want to see me day to day, and then YouTube as well. Michigan Bass Man. I haven't posted over the winter really, but I love those long form videos.
Hmm.
It's a time commitment, as
Yeah.
you know. So it's I'll do more long form videos this year though. I'm probably gonna do, dude, I know one day we gotta sit down and talk about our editing and all of that because we're both so into
Hmm.
photography and videography and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have more long form videos this year. I'm gonna do more vloggy style stuff, I
Mm.
think, and just more like rough, like out there fishing, what I'm fishing, what's working for me, and just like kind of fun stuff like that. Not as much because I really like doing like the cinematic type videos, but those take me
Oh,
like,
dude, so
weeks to
long.
edit.
Hmm.
And dude, and then it turns into like months and then I just like get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so probably more like vloggy style. I want to do some more live stuff this year. So I've kicked around some ideas like ironing out those details because I
Hmm.
want to do it with like good cameras and
Hmm.
stuff. Make it like look real good. So got some stuff coming there. So yeah, Instagram and YouTube, Michigan Bassman, and yeah, we'll have some fun.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you're doing over on the east side this year. I'm excited to hopefully get together and fish, whether it's me coming over there, meeting in the middle, whatever else it may be. Yeah, like I said, you're the only guy who's posting clips who's, north of the Mason-Dixon line right now. Nobody else is really posting anything, and I think that's just a testament to how much stuff that you collect throughout the year. And like you said, you don't always have the most amount of time, but when there's nothing going on when you can't fish, that's kind of when you can sit down and go through the archives and post up these videos and these photos and stuff you have now, which I mean kind of works out pretty well for the timeline that we have up here in the Great White North.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm got a few more clips to post and a few more things to post before hopefully we're completely open here in a few
Right.
weeks and then we'll get some fresh stuff going. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh heck yeah, dude. As always, I'll put all of Will's stuff in the show notes. You guys can go follow him if you're not already. Make sure to check out the podcast, Scales and Tails Media on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah, I think that's everything. I don't know. I always forget some stuff. But like I
Yeah,
said,
thanks.
Will's stuff will be in the show notes. Go follow him, go check it out. You guys can watch his videos and kind of really realize what we were talking about with the grass mats and that sort of thing, like counting your baits down or fishing them right under the surface. Will's point of view is really good on how he's fishing, and you can kind of tell he's out in the middle of the lake while other people, like we talked about, are up on the bank or running around the shoreline, skipping docks and stuff with Senkos. Not that it doesn't catch fish, but around Michigan, those docks get beat up like nobody's business. So you got to get offshore and do a little dicey stuff for him. Not necessarily what they're doing down in Texas, but doing his own thing on him. But as always, Will, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. It's crazy that it took 219 episodes to get a fellow Michigan guy on, but it was also crazy we all had to go to Houston to meet each other for the first time. So I guess there's wilder
Yeah.
things out there than doing a podcast this late.
Right. Yeah, no, dude, thanks for having me. It's a ton of fun. I always enjoy talking to you about photo and camera stuff, like I
Oh yeah.
said, and fishing. So it's nice to see other guys up here with us in the cold north that are throwing around the big baits for sure and talk to them. So
Mhm.
yeah, thanks, man.
Heck yeah, dude. Oh, one question I will ask you just because I need to start doing this and I haven't yet. If you could suggest one person to come on the show, like for me to interview, who would your one or two recommendations be? I know I put you on
Oh
the spot. I should have
man.
asked you this before, but I just remembered I needed to start doing
Oh,
this again.
oh man. On the show. Oh man. Well, first, dude, I don't know. Hey, you haven't done Kyle in a while. I
Mm.
mean,
No,
Kyle.
I
And
haven't done
then
Kyle Gracely in a long time.
yeah, because he's like I said, he's got dude, a little teaser. He's got another bait that we have not talked about and not shown that's coming out that is gonna be so sick that we're gonna test like all year
Hmm.
long. So yeah, once you should have him on once we like kind of announce this bait that's coming. So actually there's two baits that are coming. So super cool there. But yeah, him and then dude, oh man. I don't you've never had Dylan on, have
Never had
you?
Dylan. No, I've talked to Dylan quite a bit. I've met him a couple times, but no, I haven't had him on the podcast.
Yeah. Since you're like branching out more
Hmm.
into, like conventional bass
Right.
fishing more,
Yeah, yeah.
not just swim bait stuff. Because he is like, dude, smallmouth on St. Clair, he's the guy.
Hmm.
Like you want to catch smallies on St. Clair, he will catch them. But yeah, I've been getting him to throw glide baits and swim baits more. Like when we fish,
Hmm.
we'll fish like once a week, once every other week, and I'll be like, dude, we're throwing swim baits all day long. And
That's
dude,
awesome.
the last year, he is like he's all
Come
in.
around
He's
to it.
like yeah, yeah. Now he's got like his I got him to get the Evolution big bait bag
Oh
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
filling them up with all the baits and dude, it's fun. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to talk to him and kind of get another perspective of just the conventional smallie fishing
Hmm.
his whole life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, those are my two
Okay.
recommendations.
Okay. I'll hit up Dylan and I'll hit up Kyle and I'll get those guys scheduled in for some episodes coming up hopefully fairly soon. But again, Will, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. We won't wait so long to do the next one. I promise you guys that. And like I said,
Yeah,
hopefully maybe we can get around and we can film a YouTube video or two together, catching some fish or talking some fish and whatever else it may be in the great state of Michigan. But as
heck
always,
yeah.
thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode and we'll see you guys on episode 220. See you guys.